Good afternoon to all of you and a huge number attending through online. And as you know, today is the open session on history optional subject, right? And I would like to begin the session with raising some questions to you, right? Question number one, how many of you have history background? I mean, history in bachelor or history in master's? Okay. Okay, second question. How many you have studied history from GS point of view? Because in GS you have all history. Maybe you are aware, right? So how many of you have studied history from GS point of view, roughly? Not very properly, but in a rough way. Okay. And since many of you are having history background, maybe bachelor or masters, so you must have read a lot of history there. So you remember your college days? How seriously you studied, you remember that? Okay, right. Anyone who has appeared at interview? Right. Anyone who has appeared at main examination? Right. Anyone who has appeared at preliminary examination? Okay. Now, question session is over now. I mean, this much information I, in fact, need in order to address you, right? See, this session, I'm planning to discuss three broad issues related to history optional subject, right? The first broad issue is the nature of history optional subject. You can call nature the characteristic features. Once we start, you should know about its very nature. What is the subject like, the question pattern, and what are some typical characteristics of it, right? Second broad issue is the positive aspects of the history optional subject. I mean, what are the advantages if you opt for a history optional subject? So maybe you feel after knowing that you are at comparative advantage stage as well. Okay? And the third broad issue is the class pattern. Class pattern simply means my approach to teach, how I will be conducting the classes, my approach, what you are supposed to do with the classes, how the classes will progress, etc., etc. Fine? So in this whole session, we will be discussing these three broad issues. I repeat them. First, the nature of history optional subject. Second, the positive aspects of history optional subject. And third, the class pattern. All right? Okay. And I have many slides for you because if slides are there, they make the things fast. We'll be saving time. So take a look at the first slide. The first broad issue, as I have said, is the nature, right? The nature consists of many aspects or many facets, you can say. And the first aspect is the syllabus or the course content. So under nature, the first aspect is the syllabus or the course content, you can call it. Simple. Maybe you are aware of this, that in every optional subject there are two papers. This applies to history optional as well. Paper 1 and paper 2. And each paper consists of 250 marks. Fine. Under paper 1, there are two sections. 1, ancient Indian history, and 2, medieval Indian history. All right? And under both the section, I mean under ancient Indian history and under medieval Indian history, there are two subsections. Subsection A, what we call art and culture themes. And subsection B, what we call non-art and culture themes. And the same applies to medieval Indian history also. Subsection A is art and culture themes, and subsection B is non-art and culture themes. All right? Now, art and culture themes comprise art forms, literature, religion, philosophy, science and technology, and education system. So these topics will come under art and culture themes under ancient Indian history. Fine? And same is applicable here, art and culture themes, medieval Indian history also. This means under subsection art and culture themes, under medieval Indian history, we have art forms, topics, art forms, literature, religion, philosophy, science and technology, and education system. Fine. This term, non-art and culture themes, under ancient Indian history and under medieval Indian history, this refers to the themes which are not connected to art and culture. So what are the themes which are not connected? They are social history, economic history, political history. Very simple. So history of society, history of political system, rulers, administrative system, and history of economy, these three constitute non-art and culture themes. Simple. The same applies to medieval Indian history. Now, this bifurcation is not given in the syllabus. In fact, I have done it for you. Why? Because this has a great advantage. One thing very important, I think all of you realize, that our preparation, because say here, we are supposed to prepare for the Civil Services Exam, right? We are not here to study history as a subject. Exactly the way you have done in your master's or bachelor. Here we are supposed to prepare history optional subject for the Civil Services Exam. So we must prepare in tune with the pattern of the question. And this bifurcation becomes highly relevant if you perceive the pattern. Where the pattern is such, if we follow this and if we pursue the topics bifurcating them into two, this will help you in addressing different types of questions which are occurring in the exam today. Is it fine? So this is not as per the syllabus, this is my approach. In the classes also, when we start ancient Indian history, we'll be doing this way. First, we will be doing art and culture themes. We'll be finishing all art and culture themes. Then we'll shift to non-art and culture themes. Is it fine? Now, in paper 2, again there are two sections. Section 1 is modern Indian history, and that includes post-1947 history. All right? And post-1947 history is the history after independence, of course, till mainly 1964. You can call it 1947. Please come. 1947 to 1964 mainly, though we have some topics that go beyond 1964, but mainly it is that this period is known as Nehruvian period, when Jawaharlal Nehru was the Prime Minister of India. All right? And second is modern world history, and the period is 18th century to the decade of 2000. This means we are not supposed to study the topics before 18th century. Sometimes we find people tend to study the topics like the Renaissance, the Reformation in world history, the Commercial Revolution. These all events occurred before 18th century. That is not a part of our syllabus. So we should focus, this is 18th century to decade of 2000. This is the total syllabus. All right? The session what we will be starting, that is going to commence on 24th June, is from here. I mean, we'll be starting with modern world history. Then we will shift to ancient Indian history. Then we'll shift to medieval Indian history. And finally, we'll shift to modern Indian history. I hope you are getting this sequence. All right? Okay. Now, one more thing here. My aim is not just to give you the idea of the syllabus, rather to give you certain finer facets connected to the syllabus. If you look at this syllabus, you find that roughly the same syllabus you have in your GS. Since many of you are pursuing your GS classes, so maybe you are aware. If you remember, in GS, what history you are supposed to do as per the syllabus? So same history. I'm marking here. Take a look. Ancient Indian history, art and culture themes. This is there in preliminary, and this is there in main. I mean the curriculum of the GS preliminary, GS main. All right? Non-art and culture themes, ancient Indian history, this is in the curriculum of GS preliminary. Medieval Indian history, art and culture themes, this is in the curriculum of GS preliminary and GS main. Non-art and culture themes, medieval Indian history, this is in the curriculum of GS preliminary. Come in. Come to this side, second paper. Modern Indian history in the GS curriculum of preliminary and main. All right? And modern world history is in the GS curriculum of main. I hope you are getting this connection. This gives you some idea. What idea? That all history, I mean all history means the total history what you have in history optional subject. Anyway, you have to cover in your GS part, that is compulsory. Is it so? Yes. So my point is, and this is a very interesting point also, that in case you have started, and as you have, many of you have said, you have started to GS preparation. So you are doing all history in GS without taking notice of it that you are doing that. Is it so? A little bit we expand, that becomes preparation of history optional subject. Is it fine? So I want to give you a message here. What message? That after covering all this, you cover the entire GS part, I mean the history part of GS. Excepting a few things, you don't require any extra preparation. Excepting a few things, because there are certain things that are not mentioned in the syllabus of history optional, but they are there in GS. All right? Fine. This is all about the first aspect of the nature, right? Some of you have come late, so I should repeat. See, in this open session, we are going to discuss 3 broad issues of history optional subject, right? One broad issue is the nature of history optional subject. Second broad issue is the positive aspects of history optional subject. And third broad issue is the class pattern. We have just started the first broad issue, that is the nature of history optional subject. And under nature, we have discussed the syllabus paper-wise. And I have connected this syllabus to GS history as well. P represent here prelim, M represent here main. This means this part of ancient Indian history is in prelim main, this part is prelim, this is prelim main. This way I have connected. All right? Clear? And one more thing I have said, we will be starting from modern world history. I mean, this session, what is going to begin on 24th June. So we're starting from modern world history, then we'll be moving to ancient, then to medieval, then to modern. Fine? So I think first aspect is okay. All right. Now let's move on to the second aspect of the nature of the history optional subject. The second aspect here, the current issues. I'm raising a question for you. I want to see whether you are aware. Current issues are dominant issues in your preparation. You read newspapers, you read magazines, a lot of current is there in GS and in the optional subject. What is your idea about the current in history? Okay. 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 Or anyone? Do you think that we have current issues in history? How many of you say no? I'm just asking. And we have to consider here history as the optional subject for the civil services exam. And current issues means the current issues occur as a question in the history optional subject. So answer is this is not the case. History optional subject is the only optional subject which does not involve any current. You have current in all the popular optional subjects. Sociology, pol science, anthropology, geography, public administration. This is all full of current. So there you are supposed to read standard books, notes, as well as newspapers and magazines. Fine? In history, there is no current at all. What she has said, some recent excavations, some discovery of new pottery and all, they are very insignificant, and on that question never occur in the history optional subject. Never. At the most, if that excavation or discovery is very, very important, at the most you may have a prelim question related to that. That's all. Anyway, for prelims you do current. But for history optional subject, no newspaper is required, no magazines required. This is one positive aspect, I think. Why? Because it saves a lot of time. Otherwise what? You have to study all books, notes. At the same time, you will have to study newspapers and magazines because a lot of current issues are involved. There are many questions, they are purely current in all the popular optional subject, as I have said. So you get relieved from those work. Anyway, you are doing newspapers and magazines for GS, but not for history optional subject. So one thing very important is here, that in history, your whole focus is what has happened. If I'm given a chance to define what is history, so I think the simplest way is that history is a systematic study of past events. And the moment we say past events, what has happened. What is happening and what will happen, this is in general is not the part of our syllabus. So this will save a lot of time. So never get into it or never get into this issue or this idea that current issues you are reading here and there everywhere and this is very dominant in the preparation of civil services exam. So maybe this is there in history optional subject as well. Is it fine? Okay. This is the second aspect of the nature. Now the third aspect of the nature, theories and thinkers. You consider any popular optional subject, geography, anthropology, sociology, public administration, political science, they will find typical theories and thinkers are there. First paper is in general that in all the popular optional subject. What is your idea about history? Because many of you are having history background. So do you think we have theories and thinkers here as well? Typical theories and thinkers? I mean, considering you, I mean, those who have history background, I think they can answer better. You are saying no? No? Yes. Answer is no. So this is again important aspect of the nature of the history optional subject. Just a minute, let me finish, then I will come to you. Though we have a few personalities in history whose ideas we have to study. For example, Gautam Buddha, for example. So we have to study teachings of Gautam Buddha. Teachings of Mahavira we have to study. We have Karl Marx, so his ideas we have to study, right? We have Immanuel Kant, his ideas we have to study. But the scope of the study here is very simplistic. You don't have to go deep into the typical theories and their thoughts. Essentially, what we have to study is in general perspective, that is in historical perspective, for example. For example, how Marx interpreted history. What about the Marxian conception of revolution? I mean, these kind of, they are simplistic. But Karl Marx, if you study in philosophy or pol science or in sociology, you have to go deep into that. And when theories and thinkers are there, they again make the subject intricate, complex. We'll have to put a lot of pressure on your mind to understand their thoughts and ideas. This again saves time. I would be saying this is another positive aspect of history optional subject. Like you don't have current issues, you save a lot of time. You don't have typical theories and thinkers, again you save time. Is it fine? Yes, you were saying something. Okay, this is what we call historiography. I will come to that. Your question is related to historiography. Okay, just wait. I will come. That is aspect number 5. All right. So I hope second and third aspects are okay. Now aspect number 4. History is full of dates and years. I mean, common saying, what? Even in school days, even your college days, maybe you mugged up a lot of dates and years. And I've seen many people, they became apprehensive of this, like you have a lot of dates and years, you will have to mug up, this is so boring, so monotonous. And how you can remember so many dates and years? What is your idea about this? Because many of you are having history background. Do you think we are supposed to mug up all the dates and the years in history in the preparation at this level? No. Answer is of course no. Why? Say. In history, a very dominant facet is changes. Changes over time. The moment you consider changes over time, it involves chronology. The moment you talk about chronology, it involves dates and years. Of course, in history, dates and years are important. Chronology is important because the dominant component is a study of changes over the time. Fine. But it doesn't mean you're supposed to mug up dates and years. What you are supposed to know here at this level, I mean, if you're writing an answer in the answer of the question of the history optional subject, the Civil Services Exam, you are supposed to have the broad idea of the chronology. I'm using a term, broad chronology. For example, one event took place in 1855, right? It is not necessary that you must remember this date. What is necessary? You remember the broad chronology. What is broad chronology? Like first half of 19th century. First decade of 19th century, last decade of 19th century, towards the end of 20th century, first decade of 21st century. second half of 18th century, first half of 17th century. I hope you understand. This is what we call broad chronology. So broad chronology you have to keep in your mind and you have to write like this. Like I have said, one event took place in 1855. You don't remember this exact year, it hardly matters. You write first half of 19th century, okay. But there is another point here that is more interesting. When you start preparing a history optional subject, you study notes, you study books, you attend classes, you listen to the teachers. So many days and years you come across over and over again. So many times you come across, sometimes in the class, sometimes in the book, sometimes in the notes. Automatically you remember all the relevant dates and years. It is something like, can you forget your date of birth? Of course no. Can you forget the date of independence of India? Of course no. It is something like remembering some lines of a song while listening to that song over and over again, sometimes here, sometimes there. So automatically you remember, though you don't have any plan to remember. So what I want to say here is, there is no need to mug up dates and years. You should keep in your mind, broad chronology is same you can use in the exam. But after 5-6 months preparation, you will automatically remember all the important dates and years. It is natural. But you shouldn't have any plan to mug up. I mean, this is not necessarily even in GS. In GS history, as I have said, that whole history, what we have in history optional subject, this is what I have shown just now. The whole history, what we have in history optional subject, is there in GS. I have mentioned preliminary, main, preliminary, main. Everything is there in GS. So there also a lot of dates and years are involved. But there is no need to mug up. You keep in mind broad chronology, use them in the answers. And over the time, you will remember all the important dates and years. Is it all right? Now, shift to the fifth aspect, that is historiography. The simplest way to understand historiography is that interpretations of historical events or historical themes, rather various interpretations of historical events and themes by various groups or schools or various historians. Let's take one example, one popular topic, Revolt of 1857. All of you must have read? Right. About the nature of Revolt of 1857, some have written that it was a sepoy mutiny. That's all. Some have written it was a civil rebellion. Still some other have written this was War of Independence. Still some other have presented views it was national in character. This is what? Various interpretations by various groups or schools of historians. Sometimes we use the term school also. For example, a group of historians belonging to Cambridge. So we call Cambridge School. A group of historians following Marxist historiography, we call Marxist school. Okay? This is historiography. So in history, in all the 4 sections, this is the list of all the 4 sections, historiography is involved here and there. All right? And historiography is important from 2 perspectives. One, you may have a straight question on historiography. For example, throw light on the historiography of Indian national movement. This is a straight question on historiography. So here we will have to write this group of historians, what they say about Indian nationalism, second group, third group, fourth. All the groups you write, answer is over. Second example, throw light on the historiography of partition of India. So straight way. Some historians say partition was this, some say partition was that. All the views you write, when mentioning the name of the historian, this is what you have asked. These are straight questions on historiography. There is a second type of question on historiography that is not straight. That is normally statement based. For example, let's take some example. Like, was partition of India was inevitable? Comment. There's not a straight question on historiography, rather indirect, but there is historiography. There is a point of view that partition of India was inevitable. This means there is a group of historians. This group present view that partition was inevitable, it couldn't be stopped. So we'll have to write this view, that there is a point of view it was inevitable. We will have to write other views also that put a question mark on this. I mean, they say it was not inevitable. So this is also historiography. Let's take one more example on indirect question. Do you think Mughal state was a centralized state? Give views. Giving views does not mean your own views. It is historiography. Aligarh School of Historians, they say that it was a centralized state and they present certain basis for that. There are some other groups, they don't accept it. They write both the view, answer is complete. I hope you are getting my point. So historiography is one important aspect of the nature of history optional subject. And in the classes, we cover all the historiography wherever this is involved, wherever this is relevant. And as you have asked, that shall we write the answers like this, that this historian says this historian says this. This approach normally we find where historiography is very dominant and there is a debate. There are certain issues, certain themes, certain topics in history where there is no conclusive view that exactly what was this. So we call it debate. And debate simply means historian A says this, historian B says this, historian C says this, historian D says this. Over. I hope you are getting my point. Okay? But this is not necessarily like in every answer you have to write like this. Particularly in those answers where debate is there. And you can quote historians also. It's still a value addition. Is this fine? So you are getting the idea of historiography? This is the aspect number 5 of history optional subject. Right. Now let's move on to next, aspect number 6. This is pattern of the question. As you have come to know that there are 2 papers, right? And in each paper 2 sections are there. In paper 1, ancient Indian history and medieval Indian history. Paper 2, modern Indian history and modern world history. I presented that exactly in the same fashion. Paper 1, section A, ancient Indian history. Section B, medieval Indian history. Paper 2, section A, ancient Indian history. Section B, medieval Indian history. And see, the format is what? I have mentioned here all these digits, they represent marks and the number of questions also. Like here, section A, question number 1 and section B, question number 5. These 2 are compulsory questions. You don't have any choice, you have to write them. Question number 1, this is a map question. Maybe you are aware of this. And this is highly scoring. If a little bit of focus is given there, normally people neglect this area. They don't do this very properly over a time. And they don't have a smart ideas how to handle them. So if you have a smart idea and do a little bit of labor there over a time, not in one go, this becomes highly scoring. I think 20 sites are given, is carrying 2.5 marks. You are given a map. On the map, sites are located with a clue. You have to identify the site and you have to write a short note on that. So what I think that if you prepare in a reasonable manner, out of 20, 15 around you can do. I mean, in reasonable way. Suppose if you work more, maybe 17, or even 15 is a good score here. And this is again compulsory. There are 5 questions, each carrying 10 marks. And all the 5 you have to attempt. They are short questions. Similarly, in second paper, 1 and 5 are compulsory. And these are short questions. 5 questions, each carrying 10 marks. 5 questions, each carrying 10 marks. And rest you understand, 3 this side, 3 this side. Total 5 you have to attempt. So among 5, 1, 2, so 3 are left. And you can choose these 3, either 2 out of section A and 1 out of this, or 2 out of this, 1 out of this. So total 5 you have to attempt, where 1 and 5 are compulsory. And in the classes, we have a special focus on this area, since this is highly scoring. You can expect even 40, 45 marks on this. But the point here is, this you cannot do in a specific go. Rather, you are supposed to do in a process. So what do we do in the class? When we start ancient Indian history, we start map also. I keep on giving you the ideas every now and then. Keep on showing you the map, slides, keep on giving you notes, keep on telling you how to write short notes, you write, I evaluate. This way, while doing the whole ancient Indian history, and since the map sites are from medieval part also, so many times we continue there as well. So over a period of, you can say, 2 months, 3 months, you do mapping, it becomes perfect. After that, the only thing needed is that before the exam you sit and revise them. And normally people work on the map before the exam, separating 10 days, 15 days and working on the map. This is not the right way. You cannot attain perfection and accuracy. So what I am saying is, there is a need to do this in a process, slowly, 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 over the period of 2-3 months. So this is all about the pattern of the question, right? And one more thing related to this, that is aspect number 6, that is the words requirement in the question. As you have come to know here. Number 1, then 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, then again 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Varying marks you find here, 20, 15, 15. Here pattern is different, 20, 20, 10. Question number 1 is 10. So how many words we are supposed to write here? Now, here, for question number 1, section A, paper 1, it is mentioned that on each side you write about 30 words. In 5, section B, 1, section A, and 5, section B here in paper 2, it is mentioned, write about 150 words. Okay? In the rest of the question, there is no mention of the words, how many words. But you know that a space is given, and we can make a logical reasoning here. How? That when 5 questions are there, each carrying 10 marks, and you are supposed to write 150 words. So if the marks is 20, so you can double it, 300. If it is 15, so 225. This is a rough estimate. But the main point is the space, whatever given, that you have to utilize. Now, so accordingly I have mentioned here that there are 4 types of questions. I mean, lengthwise. First is 2.5 marks question, that is a map question. So here, 30 words each you have to write. Second is the 10 marker, about 150 words. These 2 are explicitly mentioned in the question paper. And rest is the rough estimate based on the logical reasoning. So 15 marks, about 225 words. 20 marks, about 300 words. So the maximum what you're supposed to write here is about 300 words. All right? So aspect number 6, pattern of the question, and aspect number 7, words requirement. This put together give a broad idea of the question pattern and the number of words you're supposed to use in the exam. Now next is repetition of the question. This is also very, very important aspect of the nature of history optional subject, not in other subject. Why? I have said that in a history optional subject, there is no current component, no current issues are involved. There is no question that is related to any current issue. One thing. So, because of this, what happens that history more or less become a static subject. I hope you understand. I have said there is no typical theory and thinkers. All right? When the typical theories and thinkers are there, then a scope gets widened. I mean, as regards putting questions. Many ways you can raise questions. When current dimension is there, many new things crop up. But now think, what I have said, that history is the record of past events. What has happened has happened. Nothing new will happen. Whatever is happening is not a part of our syllabus, right? Plus, Civil Services Exam has been going on for a long time, many decades. What is the scope of asking question? Out from the fixed syllabus. Nothing new could be added. Try to understand my logic, what I want to say. Nothing new could be added. Nothing new could be created, as in other popular optional subject, because current dimensions are there. Plus, anything could not become a question. I give you an example. You study Indian national movement, right? I'm picking a popular theme so that you understand. If you consider Indian national movement, you find there were hundreds of national leaders involved, right? Huge number of national leaders were involved in the Indian national movement. All right? Many. If you look at the question paper of the history optional subject related to nationalist leaders, last 30 years, 40 years question, you will find, and it's very interesting, that the questions are only on Mahatma Gandhi 1, Jawaharlal Nehru 2, Subhash Chandra Bose 3, Vallabhbhai Patel, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel 4. That's all. Mainly. This means what? What I want to say. Out of many nationalist leaders involved, you are supposed to focus on these 4 mainly. This means at this standard, I raise a question from my side, or from your side. Why not other leaders? Why not Bal Gangadhar Tilak? Why not Bipin Chandra Pal? Why not Ras Bihari Bose? Answer is simple. Maybe in GS history you have, or you may have this kind of question. But there is a fixed standard of history optional subject. At this standard, they consider only the leaders that played a very dominant role, that changed the course of Indian national movement. This is a tradition, because the question setters are all famous professors, historians. So their focus is this. Those who changed the course of Indian national movement, they should be the theme of the question. And this you can get confirmed if you go through the question papers. Last 30, 40, 50 years, you'll find these are the main 4 personalities revolving all around. So the case becomes what? If question to occur from nationalist leaders, then question to occur from these 4 mainly. So choice is what? Today there is a question on Mahatma Gandhi. After 2 years again there is a question on Mahatma Gandhi. After 2, 3 again there is a question on Mahatma Gandhi. Again there is a question on Mahatma Gandhi. In between there is a question on Nehru. Again after 2 years Nehru. 1 year Subhash Chandra Bose. Again 3 years Subhash Chandra Bose. You are getting the idea of repetitions, what I want to say. So repetitions of the question, and this is a great thing for you. Why? Because if you sense this pattern of repetitions, no, work on PYQs very properly, you can even guess, as you used to guess in the university exams, that work on this, 5 questions would be there. This will not happen anywhere, neither in GS, any section, nor in any other optional subject. Here this possibility is because of fixed syllabus, no current dimension, and a particular standard is followed in putting question, not anything. For example, I take one more example. You do Bhakti movement, for example. Many Bhakti saints were there. But if you have a look at the questions related to Bhakti saints, they are very limited. They have raised question on Kabir, second Guru Nanak, third Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, these 3 mil. 1, 2 more we add, suppose Lal Det from Kashmir and all. 5 around. If you work on 5, 6 around, though reformers were how many? Saints were how many? Many, 50, 60. But you work on 5, 6, 7, you make sure questions will be there if questions have to occur from Bhakti saints. This is the advantage. And this we will discuss and keep on discussing in the class. In fact, I want that you should also develop this insight into the pattern of the question, so that you can visualize that this is what he asked me, I mean, before we started the session, that the major problem what he is facing is a topic is there, so what issues to be studied? UPSC is highly unpredictable. But our optional subject is such where we can predict so many things. I've given you a certain example. So repetitions of the question is a hallmark. And this you can understand when you have a look at the past year questions. 10 year, 20 year, 30 year, 40 years. And what is more interesting, that even statements are repeated. A straightaway statement. For example, again popular example. Plassey was not a great battle, it was a great betrayal. This is one statement, comment. Battle of Plassey, Battle of Buxar, maybe you have read and all, right? On these two you will find similar kind of a statement they have put into question, I think, many times in the intervals of 1, 2, 3 years. This means, if we work on certain specific statement on Plassey and Buxar, there is a chance question could occur. A statement-based question normally you find in second paper, Modern Indian History and Modern World History. In both the cases you will find statements are repeated. Now, regarding a statement, one important thing. What is statement? These are the statements of famous historians. These statements occur in their writings or in their books. Okay? Some catchy ones, some very famous and very relevant, the question setter pick up and put as a question, comment, discuss, elucidate. And that is so important as a statement related to one theme or issue that they keep on asking that. In world history also find there are many statements. For example, with the Battle of Sedan, Europe lost a mistress and gained a master. This statement has occurred many times as a question, comment. So what is important here is to know what are some specific statements that are highly relevant, given by some historians, and highly relevant in the historical studies, so we must focus on them because they would occur as a question. So I'm just not talking about the issues or themes that are repeated. I'm talking about the statements also. Straightway statements are repeated. So that's why in history optional subject, working on PYQ becomes very important. Though this is important in every subject, this is important in GS as well. But in history particularly, this becomes very important. Alright? This is number 8. Now, number 9. This is about the books. So many books are there. So, if we talk about the specific books, what we must refer to, I'm using a word, what we must, you people have missed certain things. We started a little bit earlier. Okay, we'll have a talk after the class, right? So, what books we must refer to? We must refer to. So I will be saying this. These are all past series of NCERT. These are all past series of NCERT. So you will get, and they are popular, so you will get the Xerox copies of them. But the second one and third one, the same book is in the new publication also, I think, Orient Black Swan. They're very basic books, but fantastic. Why? All written by the famous historian in that particular field, say, R.S. Sharma, the famous historian, ancient India, Satish Chandra, famous historian, Bipin Chandra, famous, Anwarul Haq. So these books are very short, but lucid. But what is important here is the way they have put information. They are highly relevant. These books are read by the people preparing for GS as well, because whole history is there in GS as I have shown, right? And the same book will help you here as well. So I think going through these books a few times and marking very properly, that will give you new insight, that will provide you new information in prelims GS, in main GS, and even in history optional subject. Though in history optional subject we have some references, reference books as well. You can refer to that, but I'm not talking about that. What I expect in the class, that if any students has covered this very properly marked, properly marked means I think you understand, properly headings are written, points written, I mean the whole book converted into a kind of notes you can say, and properly read, line by line, not missing a line. So if this done very properly, then the classes and the hard copy notes, what we will be providing, this is more or less sufficient. Though we have certain reference books as well, like many people refer to Pinder Singh for ancient Indian history, Shekhar Bandyopadhyay for, this is fine. That is the next stage. But that next stage can be covered through the classes if the classes are really very effective and if the notes are very effective. Because if you go through them very properly, so you have a broad idea, even awakened about history. And I have said they have written in fantastic manner, very short, highly effective, and very unique pieces of information you will find there. So my expectation is that these 4 you must go through. Even if you have gone through from GS point of view, that is fine. But go through them again, being very particular and being awakened what is relevant, what is not relevant. All right? And the last aspect is marks. Many times people ask me, what is the level of marks we can expect in history, right? My answer is very simple. Marks do not depend on subject. This is the logic I am giving you. Marks depend on your performance. You perform in sociology, you get high marks in sociology. You perform in pol science, you get high marks there. You perform in mathematics, you get high marks. You perform in history, you get high marks. It's a very simple logic. This means it's not like this. Any subject, you write anything, you will get marks. That's the other way. Any subject, you think of a subject no one is opting for. You opt for, you write good answers, you will get marks. Same is applicable here. But of course, one more logic is there. And that logic is based on bifurcating the subject on the basis of their objectivity. Like science subject, you have highest objectivity. Below that, humanities, below that, literature. So because of objectivity, of course, in humanities, you will be getting lesser than science subjects. For example, what you get in mathematics that you can't get in maybe humanities, any subject, and slightly lesser in literature. But among humanities, for example, history, pol science, sociology, geography, public administration, etc., you perform, you get marks. So my point of view is, and this is of course the logical point of view, and this is the truth, that every subject is a scoring. I normally say one thing. Every subject is lengthy. Don't think any subject is short or lengthy. Don't go by the area covered by the syllabus. Syllabus of one subject covers this area. Syllabus of second subject covers this area. It appears shorter. Syllabus of one subject covers this area. Appears longer. If you have a look at the syllabus of history, pol science, anthropology particularly, they appear very long. But the case is not this. It depends on how syllabus presented by a specific committee appointed by Union Public Service Commission. How this is determined, I should give you this secret. That UPSC appoints expert committees to define syllabus. Right? Expert members are there for every subject. Now, it is up to the expert committee how the committee defines. Some defines in a short way, big topics mentioned, so it becomes shorter. For example, history. If I mention the syllabus of modern Indian history like this: 1. British conquest and expansion in India. 2. British policies and their impact. 3. Indian revolts and movements including Indian national movement leading to independence of India. 4. Post-1947 history till 1964. So this is the entire modern Indian history. Everything is there, but it will cover this much space. So I can convince you, see, syllabus is so short, can finish in 1 week. This is not the case. Indian national movement, 3 words involve so many things. Similarly, if you have a look at the philosophy syllabus, they will find Buddhism, Jainism, over. But a lot of things are there inside. And there are some expert committees, they have defined syllabus in a different way. How? Buddhism, Buddha, teachings, ideas, relevance today. Buddhist Sangha, it's a spread. Decline of Buddhism, factors behind the... this way if you define, Buddhism becomes this much. So I can convince you, see, this is longer. So the logic is, that in every optional subject, syllabus is in tune with bachelor, honors and master's syllabus. So all standard issues are there. This is the instruction of UPSC that all standard issues and themes of this level should be there in the syllabus. But expert committees have their own way. So some defining big topics, some defining big and minor, somewhere you find more breakups. So it is apparent, this is not the reality. So the logic is syllabus of every subject is lengthy here. There is no shortcut. Second, every subject is a scoring, depending on your performance. Third, no subject is bad. Every subject is good. Choice is yours. If you can perform, you will get very good marks. And 300 plus marks we must strive for in any optional subject belonging to humanities. And we can get that. And 300 plus means it may be 308, 310, 15, 20, 25, 30, 31, around this. And this is the top score you can say. And that we can score in history as well. Is this fine? So this is all about the marks. This is the last aspect. I should repeat, in today's session, we are discussing 3 broad issues related to history optional subject. One broad issue is the nature of history optional subject, and under nature, 10 aspects we have discussed. Last is the marks. Now we are shifting to the second broad issue, that is the positive aspects of history optional subject. And here you find 7 aspects I have mentioned. Positive aspects will give you the idea that when you opt for history optional subject, what are the advantages you have? I mean, this is also important to know. Why? Because this will instill a sense of confidence in you. That's yes, you have chosen an optional subject, is the right optional subject for you, and this is helping you here and there as well, right? So here see the positive aspects. Number 1 is absence of current issues. This is what I have already discussed in the nature. When current issues are not there, this simply means the subject becomes static. Dynamism is not involved, as you find in all popular optional subjects. Political science, sociology, public administration, everywhere a lot of current are there. So you have no newspapers, no magazines, nothing. History is what has happened. I have already said. What is happening, what will happen in future is not a part of our syllabus. So this saves a lot of time. And it becomes more or less static. And since it becomes static, then what happens? Repetitions in the questions. A lot of repetitions I have already said. Even statements are repeated. And that is the reason in the class, what do? That all the famous statements, what I perceive could be a question and what have occurred as a question could be repeated, we discuss in the class. And every year we find that a few statements were there in the question. So a lot of repetitions, there is another advantage. So you can visualize beforehand that, okay, you are writing exam this year, so how to focus the things, or any year writing the exam, so how to focus the things. I have taken certain example. I repeat those examples, some of you have, maybe you have missed. I have said Indian national movement, right? Nationalist leaders. If you just focus on Mahatma Gandhi, Jawaharlal Nehru, Subhash Chandra Bose and Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, leave aside the rest. Just focus on 4. 99% chances are there that if you have any question to occur from nationalist leader, that would be from these 4. So repetitions. I've said Bhakti Saints. 5, 6 you focus, question would be there. So this is because current issues are not there, one, and certain standard themes only occur as a question. It's not like any nationalist leader will be a question. It's not like Tej Bahadur Sapru, his views and his role would be a question. This could be there in GS, but not in history optional subject. Because here, a higher standard they are following. Anything they won't be asking. We're asking only standard things. So 1 and 3 you understand, these are two big advantages. Third big advantage is absence of theories and thinkers. We have a few personalities, I have said. We have to discuss their ideas like Karl Marx, Mahatma, a little bit of Mahatma Gandhi, Buddha and all, but it's very simplistic. In general, typical theories and thinkers are completely absent in history. This again saves a lot of time because typical theories and thinkers make things complicated, intricate, complex. Fourth is GS Prelim. GS is compulsory. If you have seen the past year questions of GS Prelim, you might have realized that about 20 questions are there, plus minus, every year from history. And those questions are very typical. Prelim has been becoming very dicey, you know. There are many people, they are qualifying in May, next year failing in Prelim as well. Why? The question pattern. And particularly the history question pattern. It becomes so, you can say, intricate. They're going very deep into the themes and the issues. And I think out of 20, 12 to 15 questions could be addressed properly in a correct way only by those who are having history optional subject. So it's not possible for those who don't have history optional subject addressing those issues. That is the reason you will find that those people, I mean those who do not have history optional subject, they hardly address 5, 6 there correctly. So particularly in history, GS Prelim, history questions have become really very complicated. Though there is a case with all the sections, but particularly history I am concerned with here. So history optional subject help you there. About 20 questions are there. But it doesn't mean you will be addressing all the 20 correctly. But I hope 12 to 15 you can address correctly because of the depth you have in the study of history optional subject. Otherwise, it's not possible more than 5, 6. So one advantage is this. Next advantage is in GS Main. As you know, in GS Main paper 1, there are 3 sections. One is history as well. So one is history, one is geography, one is society. History is the biggest part of that. So in GS paper 1, it covers many things, and history question again there are very typical. And there again you will find only history optional subjects are performing well in history GS part, in main as well, because questions are so typical. Like this time they have asked, technological development during Delhi Sultanate. Now, we cannot expect a GS student to cover and write this. But in history optional subject, we have science and technology during medieval times, during Sultanate, during Mughal period. So you get a straight answer from here. I hope you are getting my point. Plus, history helps you in the other papers of GS as well. How? I have said, history is what? History is a systematic study of past events. So history provides you the background information of all subject. History is in fact history of society, history of social system, history of religion, history of art, history of culture, history of economy, history of political system, history of science and technology, history of everything. And all these sections are there. when you study society. So all background information will help you. Like women's movement in the past. This will help you women's movement today in India. Urbanization in the past will help you urbanization today. Science and technology after independence. That created a larger background for science and technology today. History of planning. History of economic development. History of foreign policy emerging from the period of Nehru and onwards. That creates the larger ground for the foreign policy today. So in paper 2 and 3, in Constitution and Polity, the whole history of constitution making, the background of the making of constitution, the choices of federal system. Why you might have seen a question in GS, the federal system what we have adopted, it is more imperative than choice. So through historical perspective you can write this answer. You might have seen question in Polity and Constitution that the making of constitution was made easier by the Government of India Act 1935. So this historical background or the background information you need in polity, constitution, you need in international relation, foreign policy, international organization, in economy, international security, I mean everywhere. And in fourth paper GS, the ideas of the major personalities, what you have to do in history, they're not typical theories, general ideas. Ideas of Kabir, ideas of Buddha, ideas of Mahavira, ideas of Guru Nanak, ideas of Kant, ideas of Gandhi. On these, you will find question on GS paper 4, the ethics paper. 2, 3, 4 questions are there related to the moral ideas of the personalities. You might have seen the question on Kabir as well, Guru Nanak as well, Gandhi as well, their statements as well. So history is mentioned straight in the first paper, and history is there everywhere in other papers. This way this helps you. Then history helps you in essay, and history helps you in personality test as well. How? Let me first tell you that what is the demand in essay. The demand in essay is not knowledge. Demand in essay is ideas, novel ideas to be presented in organized, effective way. How do you gather ideas? I have said, history is what? History is the history of everything. Society, economy, political system, administration, art, literature, everything. So when you study history, when you will cover history optional subject, you will come to know all aspects of human life. Plus, since we have both world history and Indian history, so you move all around India, you move all around world as well. This helps you in gathering so many ideas. People, their lifestyle, their culture, literature, beliefs, how things have changed, what has happened there, what has happened here, how things have evolved. These ideas, knowingly, unknowingly, make you write excellent essay. Because essay is not the taste of knowledge. History optional is a taste of knowledge. Sorry, optional subject is a taste of knowledge. GS is a taste of knowledge. Essay is not taste of knowledge. Essay is how beautiful are your ideas, how novel are your ideas, how beautifully you present them, how organized you are. So first, this is the game of ideas. And in personality test, let me tell you one thing first. Personality test is test of what? Test of personality. Personality is what? Personality has certain components. One component is your physical traits, the way you dress, your color choices, the way you walk, the way you sit, the way you speak. One component of personality. Second component of personality, psychological traits. How confident you are, your sense of humor, presence of mind, how confidently you manage crisis situation, etc., etc. These are the psychological. And third component of personality is awareness. You are living in a world. All around you, what has happened, what is happening. People around you, the society, economy, culture, art, literature, political system, science and technology, India, world. All these you come to know once you cover history optional subject. Naturally, these ideas help creating a strong personality. Sometimes you also say, when you meet a person, right? So the way a person has dressed, the way the person is speaks, talk, you say is a smart man, smart woman, right? And then second thing you say, when you find the ideas of that person, what ideas he or she is presenting. So if you get fascinated by his ideas, you say is smart. This is what I am talking about. Ideas is a part of personality. And ideas you can gather how? When you study all aspects of human life. And history is the only subject where you do this. Here we have history of political system, history of administration, history of rulers, history of their policies, history of economy, economic development, science, technology. We have to do their science and technology in ancient times, science and technology in medieval times, history of society, culture, I mean everything. So you won't be realizing this right now, and maybe you haven't studied history from this perspective, but at this level when you will prepare, you will find that a huge and a lot of novel ideas and new information you receive and you gather, and you become an awakened person. So many things you know about the people in the whole world. And this finally plays a role in essay and personality test. So these are the 7 aspects what we can consider as the positive aspects of history optional subject. And sometimes if one raises the question, why to choose history optional? So one answer is, anyway you have to choose one option. And so among them, why history? The answer is this. It doesn't mean other optional subjects do not have positive aspects. I have said every optional subject is good, every optional subject is scoring, every optional subject is lengthy. Choice is yours. As every optional subject has certain positive aspects, history too has certain positive aspects. You should be aware since you are opting it, because this will inculcate a sense of confidence. Yes, you're doing the right thing. And now I'm shifting to the last broad issue, that is the class pattern. This is all about how history optional classes are conducted. In fact, my approach of teaching is slightly different from the teaching whatever you are getting in other classes, because many of you are attending classes as well, right? So I think I should tell you about this as well. And there are many questions from the online participants also. So online participant, I will be answering them. Just wait. At the end, I will be answering, okay? Right. And if you will be raising a question, so why your approach is different? So answer is, everyone has his or her style. But this is not the matter of style. This is more the matter of making you people, those I would be teaching, highly comfortable in handling or addressing the issues what occur in the question. So my whole motto here is, all the class would be revolving around just focusing on just one thing, that any issue occur as a question in the exam, my student should be in a position to address them in an excellent manner. And that's why I'm supposed to change their style. Change the style means from the traditional style to the style that is highly, you can say, relevant for accomplishing this task. So, how classes will proceed, what way I would be teaching, how will you doing the things, what you are supposed to do with the class, answer writing, everything. So let's just start with this. 1, 2, 3, 4, this way, 10 points are there, okay? See, the first is concepts and terminology. So first thing what I focus in the class is building concepts and making you well aware of the terms, because when you study history, you will come across many concepts and many terms as well. Okay? For example, I give you a certain example. When you study medieval Indian history, you come across terms like Balutedar, Mirasidar, Iqtadar, Mansabdar, Jagirdar. These are terms, right? When you do, like I've taken one example of Revolt of 1857. So when you do this topic, Revolt of 1857, many concepts are involved here first. What is revolt? Why do we call Revolt of 1857 a revolt? Then what is uprising? Then how rebellion is different from this? Then what about revolution? Are revolution and revolt are the same? Then what about movement? Sometimes we say Swadeshi movement, sometimes we say non-cooperation movement, sometimes we say Santhal revolt, are the same? These are concepts. I hope you are getting my point. Okay? So, I keep on focusing on this because of two things. One, in the class there are some students, they don't have history background, right? So for them, it is highly beneficial. Plus for those who have history background, for them also, why? Because they have very strong concept. Technically, they know exactly. Because sometimes you have to write the definition as well. For example, I raise one model issue for the exam. You must be knowing one event took place in America, what we call American War of Independence. We call it American Revolution as well. Right. One model issue, assume. This could be a question. The event that took place in America towards the end of 18th century, was it a revolution or it was a war of independence? Give views. Now here, there is a need to know technically what is the revolution and how this is different from the revolt, because we have to write this. I hope you understand my point. So, focus on concepts and terminology. This is helpful in understanding the whole subject, plus understanding certain finer aspect technically, and then answering certain typical this kind of question. One example I have put. Second thing is timelines and chronology. I have said history has a very important component, that is changes over the time. That involves timeline and chronology. So second focus in the class is this. I take one example to make you understand this. Or you can choose any example. You choose any topic. You choose any topic, whatever topic you want to choose. Do you have any topic in your mind where timeline is involved? No, topic exactly. Mughal, so under Mughal so many things are involved. Mughal economy, Mughal architecture, Mughal society, then any specific theme you choose, that would be better. Theme where timelines are involved. Theme, you're not getting. Okay, I choose one again. Suppose temple architecture. Okay, temple architecture, or recently Rama Mandir, so it's a very popular issue nowadays. Temple architecture in North India, fine. Now, if we pick up this topic, temple architecture in North India, so one thing involves here is, what I have said, certain concepts and terminology, right? Like Panchayatan, Shikhar, I hope you're getting my point, right? Mandap, Jagamohan, etc., etc. This is all about concept and terminology. Second thing involved here is timeline and chronology. What I'm depicting here, I'm showing the visual depiction of this, right? The earliest evidence of temple in North India come from the period, what is known as post-Mauryan period. That is this period. 200 BC, 300 C, right? So earliest temples, or the earliest archaeological evidence, here I am, earliest archaeological evidence of temple come from this period. This simply means we don't have any archaeological evidence of any temple before this period. This period, commonly known as post-Mauryan period. There is a period after the Mauryas. All right? This is the humble beginning. All these temples are in ruins, and because they are in ruins, so we don't have very clear idea about their characteristic features. We don't know whether Shikhar is there, whether Garbhagriha is there, whether Mandap, we don't know this. But evidences are there. Then we find 300 C to 500 C. This is a phase of the age of Guptas. Here many temples were built. Many temples were built, and many of them are in intact form. And because of that, we come to know about their specific features. Then 500 C to, I'm discussing in very short, right? 500 C to 550 C. This is the last phase of the age of the Guptas. Is a more important period of the development of temple architecture in North India, because this is the period where we find temples for the first time, temple like this. Because whenever you think of temple, you assume this kind of image. What do you think? Am I right? Whenever you imagine any temple, you think of this kind of image, where this is the place where the image of the deity is placed. This is known as Garbhagriha or sanctum, and the upper part is Shikhar. This is of a specific type, what is known as Rekha Shikhar in Indian terminology, or curvilinear Shikhar. This kind of first temple in ancient India, in North India, emerges during this time. Okay? And the same, plus more, some other features as well, and the same developed during this time. After that, 552, 750 C, this kind of a structure developed further. This is considered as a period of transition from the early phase of this kind of temple, what came to be known as representing Nagaraj style, to the early medieval 1250 C, where this gets culminated. So the process of this kind of temple begins here. and got culminated in this phase. In the temples of like Jagannath Puri, Konark, etc., right? This is what I have shown here. This is a visual depiction, and this is very short. The same thing we will do in the class in half an hour, 45 minutes. So the concept, terms, and the timeline becomes crystal clear. We become the expert of temple architecture in North India. This is what? Timeline or chronology. Beginning, humble beginning, simple structure, new kind of a structure representing embryonic form of Nagara style, its further development, its climax. So how many phases I have shown you? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This kind of thing is a very dominant aspect of preparation of history. There are many questions where you need this. You will have to write exactly this way. And everything you can understand in a proper way when you understand this. Because you have to maintain the changes over the time, continuity over the time. So this is what is timelines and chronology. And third is interlinkages. I mean linking two things. One event taking place in ancient times, second event taking place in medieval, third in modern, one taking place in America, one taking place in Europe, another taking place in India. Some important interlinkages are there. They become question as well. So third focus is on this. Let's take 1-2 examples. Some popular example. You know very well Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. He played a significant role in integrating a huge number of princely estates in India, right? Similar kind of role was played by Bismarck in Germany. Bismarck was the man who unified Germany. Okay? Now there is an interlink. Should we consider Patel as the Bismarck of India? This interlink is, I hope you understand. Because both did the same thing. Bismarck unified Germany, Patel unified India. Right? The differences in their approaches, similarities in their approaches. Okay, let's take another example. 18th century Europe, age of enlightenment. Many progressive thinkers, philosophers emerged. Immanuel Kant, Rousseau, Voltaire, Montesquieu, John Locke, etc., etc. They presented highly progressive ideas. Those ideas were marked by certain specific elements like rationalism, humanism, idea of optimistic progress, scientific outlook and all, right? This took place in 18th century. And in 19th century India, we find men like Raja Ram Mohan Roy, men like Derozio, men like Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar. They were also presenting the ideas of humanism, ideas of rationalism, ideas of the optimistic progress for the humans. This means what Raja Ram Mohan Roy was presenting in India in 19th century was the ideas of enlightenment, what happened in 18th century Western Europe. These interlinkages. I hope you are getting my point. Like Lenin, for example. Lenin accomplished a communist revolution in Russia, 1917 October, November, right? He pursued a policy, what is known as new economic policy. All right? New economic policy was a policy, this hallmark of this policy was mixed economy, accepting both capitalism and communism. The economy where you find both public sector and private sector play a role. Right? New economic policy continued till 1927. 1927 was the year when Jawaharlal Nehru visited Russia. And he was quite impressed with new economic policy of Lenin, though Lenin was no more, he died in 1924. But he was very impressed with this experiment. When he became Prime Minister later of independent India, the economy he introduced was mixed economy. We have mixed economy. Both private and public sector play a role. But this was not in vacuum. This was inspiration from there. Again, you find the interlink is. What interlink is? Lenin's NEP and Nehruvian economic policy in India after independence. So in history, so many interlinkages are there. And these three build your fundamentals of history, you can say. If these three are okay, so if fundamentals are perfect, you are having background or you're not having background, it hardly matters. And after that, we shift to 4. And this is what is finally focusing the exam. Relevant issues. Any topic we pick up, eventually our whole focus is that every student is aware of all the relevant issues related to that topic that could occur as a question. You try to get my point. I have said that when you do nationalistic leaders, you should be aware of this fact that the 4 leaders are to be focused. This is fine. But within these 4, what? See, what I want to say was Mahatma Gandhi. We come to know that Mahatma Gandhi is one among the 4, we must focus, right? Now within Mahatma Gandhi, what? This is what I call relevant issues. Normally, you will find when the people prepare Mahatma Gandhi, they prepare the biographical details of Mahatma Gandhi, they prepare their South African experiments, they prepare their satyagraha like Champaran, Kheda, Ahmedabad. They prepare in general their role in various movements like non-cooperation movement, civil disobedience movement. Okay? So these kind of things normally people prepare. I have said, we are not here to study history. We don't have to build up GK. We are here to prepare history optional subject for the Civil Services Exam that follows a particular standard. And there won't be any question from these kind of things. So if we keep on working on this, this becomes eventually meaningless. So the need is what? We must know, Mahatma Gandhi, what are the relevant issues on which question could occur? So these kind of issues, for example. His mass mobilization approach. How Gandhi mobilized masses and converted Indian national movement into a multi-class movement. Like Gandhi and women. For example, nature of Gandhian mass movement. Nature of mass movement of Gandhi. That means, what kind of mass movement was Gandhian mass movement? How this was different from the previous movement? Like ideological parameters of Gandhian nationalist struggle. Socio-economic dimension of Gandhian national movement. Like Gandhian mystic. And there was an air of mystery all around Gandhi. What was this? Like his insight into mass mind. Like Gandhian millenarian appeal to people. Etc., etc. I hope you get my point, what I want to say. Our whole preparation should revolve around these kind of issues, and then make sure any question occur from Gandhi, that would be from there. This is what you raised when we were talking before the session begins. I was just asking, some of you had come, we were just chatting, I was asking like, what is the major challenge you are facing? This is what he said, that we don't understand exactly in the topic what things. My point is, in history optional subject, since there is no current, what has happened, happened. On Gandhi, no new issue can be created. Nothing new can happen. Gandhi cannot be alive and do something, I hope you understand. What Gandhi did. Over. Now the only requirement is, we should perceive the standard of our exam, a standard of our question, and we should tally our preparation accordingly. For that, naturally, you should have deep insight into the theme Gandhi. So if Gandhi is the topic, and if the exam is the civil services exam, so what issues? Maybe Gandhi is the topic, exam is some other exam, so this is fine. Champaran Satyagraha may be a question. But not here. So this is what I call the relevant issues. The moment we start working on this, so you get oriented towards examination in a perfect way. So in every topic, you choose any topic, I will tell you how. I will first tell you what things we normally do, what things to be done. And our focus is not this. Say, all of you must have read Gandhi. But don't you think your focus is not this exactly? Don't you think many of the things you never heard also, okay, this is also there. And this is what happens in the examination hall. All of a sudden you have a question out of blue. Then you think, okay, millenarium appeal of Gandhi, what is this? So problem is where? While preparing, we miss that. But it's not a new thing on Gandhi. It's not like UPSC has created something new, because no new thing can be created in history. I hope you understand my point. So what I want to say here is that fourth relevant issue, this is what we have to focus in every topic. Suppose we do Indus Valley civilization. It doesn't mean we won't be doing this. We will be doing this also in the class. We will be doing all. But eventually I will be making you aware that this is not of use for you. Maybe this helps you in GS, prelims, you may have some question. You read this also. But in history optional, in civil services, in order to get 300 plus, one requirement is that at least attempt all the questions required to be attempted. So for that, this is needed. And once we know this, then we have excellent answers on this also, because we discussed this in the class. I hope you understand my point. So we'll be doing all, but the focus is somewhere else. Normally we'll find people start with this, end with this. Now, you're going to start with this is fine, but eventually you shift to that. In the total preparation of Gandhi, if this is 10%, this part is 90%. This is the right approach. So those people who get awakened to these issues, these ideas, they get higher marks qualify faster. And then we find there are some people, they keep on doing this. Next year they add 1, 2 more. Next year they add 1, 2 more. They keep on doing. But my point is, in the very beginning, we can start with this. And I'm also confident that, because in the classes I find that anyone, whether having background or not having background, is comfortable. Once one is awakened to this, and it is taught properly, and notes are there with you, anyone can handle even these difficult issues also. So this is all about the fourth. Fifth is the relevant PYQs. I have said PYQ is important everywhere, every subject, every section of GS, but in history it is still more important. Why? No current, all is static. So what do? The moment I finish a section, suppose we finish Indian national movement, so I collect all relevant PYQs of Indian national movement, last 30, 40 years, and I send you through the soft copy. And we discuss them in the class. It's like answer writing discussions. One day discussion, second day, third day. So over the period of the course, so many time discussions, so we become expert in handling the questions, writing beautiful answers. Fourth is discussion on answer writing. What is our approach in the class? The moment we finish a topic, answer writing begins. For example, as I've said, we'll be starting with world history, right? And in the world history, the first topic, what we would be starting, and we must start with that is imperialism and colonialism, chronologically. The moment we finish this topic, imperialism and colonialism, I would be sending you all relevant PYQs related to imperialism and last 30, 40 years. We'll start discussing in the class first how to write a beautiful answer, how to start, how to end, what should be the main body. Even I dictate, okay, first part of this answer, I dictate, this should be like this, this should be like this, this should be like this. So you get the exact idea, okay, this way you have to start with. This kind of question start this way, this kind of question start this way, the statement is there, start other way. This means I keep on giving you ideas how to write good answers. Based on those ideas, we discussed all relevant PYQs, lying with me, lying with you as well, because I will be sending you, related to imperialism and colonialism. So one discussion, 2, 3, and then I open it. We start writing. So answer writing begins after finishing first topic. So I'll start writing. I keep on evaluating, we keep on discussing, two-way, collectively also on board, and one-to-one also. As we were having a chat before the session begins, I normally come to the class half an hour before. I don't sit outside, I come straight away here. I just keep on interacting with you, problems and all, answers and all. So I keep on sitting here and discussing with you one-to-one, your answer, this is grammatical mistake, improve this line is wrong, this way, this way. So I find that over the period of 2-3 months now, all become expert in writing answers. This is this answer writing practice and evaluation and discussion collectively and one-to-one as well. In the class pattern, 1 to 7. You understand very well. 8th is, you will have complete notes. I have updated this. This is 2023-24 updated hard copy notes. This consists of around 1400 pages. About 1400 pages. And I have said one thing. In the class, normally I expect that you follow the class properly, And properly means 1, 2, 3, 4. And what is 4 you understand very well. Eventually, the greatest focus should be this, because question will occur from here. So follow this properly. Work on 5, 6, 7. Hard copy notes are there. This cover almost, not everything, but almost. After that, just those 4 past series NCERT books, if you read, it's okay. After that, you decide whether you have to read Upender Singh or any other book. That is your choice. But I personally feel if those 4 basic books you do very well, and all this you follow very properly, so I hope, and not, I hope only, I keep on asking after finishing one topic I ask, okay, imperialism, colonialism is over. We have followed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and you have notes on this. And soft copy notes are what? Sometimes, because say, knowledge is endless, and there is always a scope to improve. So sometimes I create new notes and add and give you the soft copy. That is number 9. So after finishing one topic, like when we start world history, we'll be finishing first topic, imperialism, colonialism, following 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And then I raise a question in the class. What do you think now? Do you feel like any issue related to the topic imperialism, colonialism, you are comfortable? Any issue occurs in the exam, you can write answers provided you revise. Almost all say yes. This should be the approach to prepare. I hope you understand my point. So approach to prepare is you understand well, your concept should be okay, timeline should be okay, interlinkages should be okay. You know very well what issues are relevant related to every topic. You have PYQ, relevant PYQ related to that topic. You have smart ideas how to write a beautiful answer. And you keep on writing answers in the class, keep on getting evaluated. Don't wait like later on you will join test series. No, even test series is not needed if this is the way you do. Eventually, for time management, you can take the past year questions as a model question, sit with the clock, keep on writing, this is your test series. Because in history, if all the past year questions you do very well, this is the best model for you. And last is the email. You can note it down or you can take the snap of this. This is the email for you. And this is for support, you can say, extra support. Now sometimes what happens, you cannot raise a question in the class, you can raise through the email, right? Sometimes what happens, crowd is there, so some personal issues are there related to preparation, you can raise through there. But the more important role of this is when the course is over. When the course is over, we keep connected through this. You can keep on sending me answers, you can get evaluation, you can raise issues. So this you can use till you need, of course till you qualify. Alright? So these are the 10, you can say, the facets of the class pattern. So this is the last what I wanted to discuss. So as I have said, the 3 broad issues. First, the nature of the subject. Second, the positive aspects of the subject. Third, the class pattern. Last is also equally important because you should know exactly how you'll be doing the things and what way you are supposed to work with the classes. And you might be realizing, after knowing all this, that pattern is different from the other classes. is entirely different. But I personally feel this is the right pattern. Every class should be somewhat like this, so that you just don't complete the course, you complete the course in such a way that every girl and boy in the class feel highly comfortable in handling any issue in the exam, including answer writing. Answer writing shouldn't be something what you're supposed to do after finishing the course. So what I urge is keep on doing it during the course duration. By the time course is over, you know everything in history. You can answer any question. After that, what is needed? Just sit, revise, produce in the exam, and make sure the minimum number of questions what you're supposed to write, that would be there from the themes and issues what we discuss in the class. And this we can do in history, at least. Why? Because repetitions are there and current dimensions are not there. So this is over now, all my discussion over. Now anything else you want to ask? Do you have any question? Some of you have come late also. No, lesser. That would be lesser, and most are online. But that is not the point. The point is there should be personal connect in the class, me and you. And that is the reason I come before the class. I don't sit outside, I sit here. I keep on discussing with you. So over the period, what I have realized, the past sessions, that there is hardly anyone who couldn't interact with me whatever the way he or she want. A very personal interaction as well. Very minute things we discuss, sitting here all alone. Right? Anything else you want to ask? Any issue do you have? There are some questions from the online participants also. One is from Hemant Chaudhary. Is Upender Singh enough for ancient history for history optional? Hemant, yes. This is a very good book, very exhaustive and very helpful as well. But before that, if you read the R.S. Sharma, the past series NCERT, what I have said, that would be better, right? But with the classes I have said, I don't expect you read Upender Singh. What I expect is you read R.S. Sharma, past series NCERT, finish that, and then finish the things in the classes the way. After that, if you feel you have any choice, you can read this as a reference book here and there. And second question is from Amit Singh. How can I prepare history optional without taking classes? So see, Amit, this is the way you can follow what I have said. See, the class pattern, what I have discussed, Amit, this should be your pattern. Exactly follow this. And if you are not the part of the class, this email is there with you. Keep in touch with me. I will keep on helping you. I will keep on even evaluating your answer, Amit. Okay? You don't worry for that. But follow this, because this is the only right way to qualify in the very first attempt. Because I feel all of you want to qualify in the very first attempt. What? I don't think you have 5-year plan. Of course, no. So that's why I want to say that from the very beginning, do the things at the high level, the level UPSC demands. I've shown through Gandhi's example what level. Understand? From the very day one, we start from here. I mean, take off. In terminology of the aircraft and the flights, no taxi, no standing on the runway. Just take off. From the very beginning. From the very beginning, you focus on these kind of things. Forget that. Even those things you don't know, worst to worst, what will happen? Maybe one question would be there in prelim you don't know. But do that for prelims, not for history often. Every topic just focus on this. This is what I call just take off. Does it like taxiing? Standing at runway for half an hour, 2 hours. This just take off. So Amit, follow this pattern, right? And this pattern is very clear. My email is there. Any kind of help, I am there. And one is from will the classes be in English medium or bilingual? See, classes would be in English. Today also I haven't spoken even a single word in Hindi, but I can speak. I can speak Hindi very well. We can interact in Hindi if you want, anytime. But since officially, professionally, class is English medium, so I think I should teach in English medium, right? I should give notes in English medium. What do you think? Plus in the classes, there is a huge number from South India also. Tamil Nadu, Karnataka. So, because of that also, it should be in pure English. But since I can speak, I understand very well, I can speak very well, I can interact with you in Hindi anytime if you want. But the classes officially would be in English. And one is, can I opt for history optional if I am from engineering background? Yes, this is what I have said. See, in history optional classes, all are not those having history background. I think half of the crowd is from other background. Engineers, doctors, management, commerce. It is your choice. And I have already said that every subject is good, every subject is lengthy, every subject is scoring. It depends on you. So if you ask me one question, what should be the basis of choosing an optional subject? So basis number one, the most important, your background. If your background subject is history, you must choose history. Second, your interest. If you have, because see, here you have to read a lot, study a lot, and without interest you can't sustain it. So interest. Third, an excellent guide. Sometimes what happens, subjects you don't write, maybe you have experience in your college, school days, you didn't like the subject, but teacher was such, he made this so interesting. And you become so comfortable, you begin to like. So good guide, this is the third basis. And fourth is the advantages, like advantages in interview, GS, here and there and all. So these are the four criteria to choose an optional. So you can choose on this basis, and engineering background is no issue. And one is, will there be classes for answer writing and mapping separately? This is what I have already said, that on map we have a special classes and not classes. Map we keep on doing for 2-3 months. So they become perfect in map. And answer writing, we keep on doing the whole 6 months during the course. Right? Okay, yes, you are asking something? Finds it interesting. No, this is the interest. If you read and find it interesting, this means you have interest. No, this is what I am saying. Zeal you cannot understand in the very beginning. In the very beginning, what you can understand is your interest. If you find the subject interesting, when you read, you find it interesting. You read even 2-3 hours, you find it interesting. You read ancient, it is okay. Medieval, okay. This, okay. This means you have interest. And after that, what happened? That since you are preparing for the civil services exam, so you are motivated people also. Because without high motivation, this is not the job to be accomplished. So many studies and 2 years are involved, to sacrifice so many things, so a lot of motivation is required. A good guide also plays a role. So first is interest, and since you are motivated also and a good guide is there with you, so you start doing the things as per the requirement of the exam. You're getting my point? This is what I'm saying. Anything else? Any other question is there, or that's it? Or can you write 1, 2 more if that is there? Mm-hmm.
Is asking whether classes will start from paper 1 or paper 2. What should be the weightage?
Aditya Swaroop, I think. Classes will start from world history. Aditya, I have already said this thing. We'll be beginning the class with world history, then we'll shift to ancient Indian history, then medieval, then modern. And what else he has asked? No, something that is not visible here.
Do we need to give more weightage to paper 1 as map is a part of it? That's a part of that.
Okay. And this is not important, that you are supposed to give more weightage to paper 1. You have to do everything properly following this. Since map question is there in paper 1, it doesn't mean you focus paper 1. No. So my personal advice here is that you focus on everything, whatever is there in your syllabus. But eventually your focus is this, because all question will occur from relevant issues. And relevant issues includes map as well. And map means what? All relevant sites. There are thousands of sites. If you keep on working on all those sites, it becomes suicidal. So among 1,000, we have to focus what? About 300, 330, 340, and out of 20, 17, 18, or maybe all 20 will be there. So it's not necessary, and it's not advisable also you focus on paper 1. No. Sometimes you will find that in paper 2 you have questions where you were more comfortable. So then you will regret. So focus on all relevant issues, paper 1, paper 2, and this includes relevant map sites as well. Okay? Anything else? That's all? Okay then. So this session is over, and it was very pleasant having you here. And I was not expecting in this hot weather in Delhi and prelims are still there, so many people would be coming. I was expecting the most would be joining online, but many of you are sitting. So nice to see all of you, and all the best for your preparation. And the best wishes what I can give you is to qualify in the very first attempt with some rank. Right? Okay then, see you. And my email address is there. You can be in touch anytime you need me, wherein you are joining the class or not joining the class. And anyone else, anyone in the class who wants some personal interaction, I am here for some time. Okay? Okay then, see you. All the best.